Hey, welcome to Your Best Podcast, your place for conversation, information, and experts that help you to live your best. Today, we are speaking with Kharron Alderman, and she is a certified breath coach, and she's also the author of Mental Alchemy. But get this, we're going to talk about something that really just shook me from the start. She talks about silent depression. Whoa, we're going to get into it. You're going to be filled to overflowing. Beloveds, welcome, Kharron, to the show. Hey, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's so nice to have you here today. You know, when I saw what you were talking about with silent depression, that really hit me in a major way. I actually recently found out about a neighbor of mine that actually decided not to continue living. And it really affected me deeply because I didn't know this person well. Their schedule and everything kind of had them keeping to themselves. But every once in a while, when we would be mowing our lawn at the same time or something, I would always like, hi, and we'd have that like shared smile or wave, or, he would, look up and hey. And so when I found that out, it really affected me deeply because, gosh, what was going on there? And to have someone be silently going through something so deep, right? So when you talked about silent depression, that really hit me on so many levels. You say you experienced silent depression. On the outside, everything seemed fine. I didn't even realize I was experiencing depression. Can you please tell us about this? Please just let us know what that was about.
Sure. So this was back in almost a decade ago, back in like 2016. And I was a newlywed, I was a new mom, and I was struggling. And it was really silent because it's not that I wasn't communicating the problem to other people, it's that I couldn't communicate the problem to myself. Right. I was stressed. I was still overweight from pregnancy, and I wasn't really sleeping or taking care of myself well. So that all combined was just a problem that needed to be addressed.
Welcome to All's Well Lifestyle. Relax, re-energize, retreat, and remember your highest self wherever you are by joining our virtual retreat center free. Visit allswelllifestyle.com.
But I couldn't address it because I didn't realize it was there. Like I said, I was acting fine. I seemed like my normal self, but inside there was just a disconnect, right? I just wasn't listening to myself. Nothing changed really until I had an unfortunate but fortunate situation where I was going back and forth to work for 2 hours because I was traveling from New Jersey to Philadelphia. Again, don't ever do it if you haven't. And it was awful. And all of that tiredness and frustration combined in one day, and I was just sick of listening to the radio or anything. So I just shut it off, kind of throwing a tantrum in the car, basically. Mm-hmm. But what happened in that silence and the few days and the weeks that followed was that I started listening to myself. And I realized that I was caught in a negative thought loop. And once I realized I'm having the same thought I had yesterday, and actually I caught myself thinking that earlier and a few days ago, then that's when the change started, right? I started studying, started meditating, started doing breath work, and everything changed from there. I started taking care of myself better, rebuilt my self-esteem. I lost almost 50 pounds, and I started doing things that were more in alignment with who I am, who I want to be, how I want my life to be. And I feel like so many people are missing that just because they just don't simply take the time to listen.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. And one thing is that it creeps up. It can creep up. It could creep onto us, and we don't even realize that it's happening. For me, I recently found myself in a similar situation of the negative thought loop. And it was very surprising to me because I was going through all of my kind of regular motions at the time. Like you, I've sensed, and I believe it's a constant dialing in for us, little rearranging, little tweaking here and there. So I was in my regular mode at the time. But all of a sudden, day after day, I just wasn't feeling like myself. I just wasn't feeling like as happy. I just wasn't feeling like as energetic. And I'm like, what is going on? And I started to have these thoughts of calamity and doom. And that is not my personality at all. Like, I'm really usually with a sunny disposition. So this was surprising to me. And similar to what you share, once that little bit of opening, it was like, what is this? And where is it coming from? And what's going on? And as soon as I was able to see that, then I was able to kind of give myself, I don't know, have you ever watched The Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan?
No.
So this is a show of this man who is a super professional dog trainer. And something he'll do when the dogs are really in a frenzy or starting to get worked up, he goes, "Shh," and it immediately like, oh. So I call it that "shh" moment where it's like, you're just like, hey, come on, and it's like this, okay, wait, yeah, what's happening? I'm out of the loop of getting kind of crazy. And it's just like so great. And so I love that you share that, and that moment of you were in your regular mode, you're in your commute, you're, having these experiences, and suddenly you just give yourself that, like, I'm going to shut everything off. I'm just, and then it comes an awakening that you most importantly act upon. So bravo to you for that. The silent depression thing is a really big thing because it can creep up for so many reasons. And I love that you mentioned that it was having to do with many new things in your life, and that was also some physical things happening, because it can come on for so many reasons. And I think that that's important to note for someone that may be listening that is just maybe, I don't feel that good. I don't know why. Maybe something major didn't happen. Or maybe all these things I actually wanted did happen. Why do I feel this way? So that's super cool. You say, now what do you think? We touched on it a little bit, but maybe it was something specific for you. What do you think caused that silent depression to come on once you were evaluating and having this awakening?
In hindsight, I realized that it was a lot due to childbirth. I think postpartum depression goes untalked about, if that's a word, right? People just don't talk about it or address it enough. I know for me personally, at that time, I was in my 20s when I had just had my son. I never heard of postpartum depression. That wasn't even a thing that was in the lexicon of the people that I spoke with on a daily basis. So, it was that combined with the isolation that comes from being at home alone with your child, right? You sort of lose a sense of self. And, all of the social things and activities that you're normally doing, the people you normally see, it turns out if you can't go out and, drink and party and have a good time, a lot of people seem to step away, and you see who your true friends are. But those people still love you, but they're just not able to, I guess, connect with you in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So being alone, and again, just not listening, was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. I love that you share that, because I have had both of those experiences as a mom. I became a mom as a teenager. So I've always been the opposite of my actual age group. So I was a mom when everyone was doing normal school and those types of things and growing up in young adulthood. And then I was an empty nester when folks were becoming a mom. And I'm like, bye. So, but there is a sense of loneliness, and you're absolutely right, because as adults, gosh, kind of in every group, I think you relate to folks usually through activities, through work, through your regular outings, etc. And so, yes. And then fast forward to what I shared with you earlier, where I just kind of had discovered this funk. It also had to do with isolation. Just isolation naturally because of various things I was doing with the season of work I was in and all these other things. And it was just like, oh, wow. this isolation is allowing for a singular train of thought coupled with a little bit of loneliness that is causing effects I don't want, that is causing me to lose the essence of my fullest self. So I love that, finding these through lines, I think, is important for folks that might be like, hey, am I depressed? What's going on? Is something happening with me that, that can be helped here? I know for me, I felt weird. Did you feel weird? Did you feel like, well, there's something weird, but I don't know what it is?
Not initially.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I guess I thought everything was fine, or I just chalked it up to maybe I'm a little bit stressed. I knew I wasn't sleeping, but that I had been dealing with that for a while. And I did have someone close to me ask, "Hey, is everything okay?" And my response was, "Yeah, right. Everything
Yeah.
seemed perfectly fine." But they didn't say what it was they were seeing. And again, I wasn't seeing it myself. So it really comes down to that, making that time for yourself. And there's a difference between, the work that you're doing where you're by yourself and you're just doing your work, and actually making intentional time to sit and listen to yourself. There's a huge difference, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I love that you're highlighting it. That's very important. Absolutely. Sitting and making time for yourself to listen to yourself, to assess your thoughts, your feelings, what's actually true for you in that moment, in that season of life is very, very key. I love it. So, what were some of the things that you did? Because clearly you have fully come out of this. Clearly you help others. Clearly this is a story of, getting past this in a greater way, right? But what were some of the things that you did to start? What are some things if someone's right now and they're like, I think I'm a little bit. Obviously, if you are seriously depressed and you're listening to this, there is professional help that you can seek out. This is never meant to replace that. What I'm talking about now and asking Kharron about is those things that we can do to help ourselves while getting professional help and in between and all of that. So, what were some of the things that helped you to get out of that depression, that helped you to rise up again? What did you do?
I would say a big starter for me was exercise, the meditation, and stretching. I used to dance and do cheerleading and all that stuff. I love to dance, okay? But I started doing that before bed. And just the process of the deep breathing and the stretching and then laying down, that allowed me to rest. Now, here's what was interesting about that. When I was doing that, I had no idea, the effect it would have. I was just trying to relax.
Mhm.
Okay. What I was doing though actually was regulating my nervous system. And I didn't learn that until later on when I started studying breath work. And it was like, oh, right now I understand, right? So I kind of fell into it, but it was a huge difference maker, because when you regulate your nervous system, you can get yourself out of fight or flight mode, and you can relax. And when you can relax, that's when you can think more clearly. Literally, the front part of your brain cannot operate right. You can't make good decisions for yourself or anything else if you're in a stressed mode. It's just not going to happen.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you did yours in the evening. So I'm a big morning gal, and you're the first that I've heard that has an evening routine or had an evening routine to better yourself. I think that's phenomenal. I do know that we can marinate in a greater way when we do things in the evening before we sleep as well. So that is something that's powerful. But as far as like that physicality and the breathing, and I think that's really, really cool. So that's excellent. Do you have maybe a little recommendation or a movement recommendation or a breath recommendation for someone who may be interested in trying that?
Absolutely. So one of the things that you can do when you're feeling, too busy, not quite yourself, is to just sit down and take a moment, right? And you don't have to do any extensive breath work where, you're being super obvious, right? I would suggest closing your eyes if you can and just breathing in slowly for a count of four and out slowly for a count of four. And what that does is it balances your nervous system, balances your energy. So if you're feeling up, maybe overstimulated, it will help bring you back down so that you're a little bit grounded. And if you're feeling a little bit groggy, like it's probably time for that afternoon nap, it'll help lift you up a little bit. So that's a really easy one. It's super practical. If you're at work, you can do it right at your desk. If you're an entrepreneur and you're working, again, you can do it right at your desk, sit outside for a moment and just get that chance to balance yourself out.
I love that. That is my favorite style of things to share. I love providing things that are very quick and practical to use because often what I find is that, we are busy, we are multitasking. So we can graduate into the larger experience, but having something that you could do right in those moments in a car, at your desk, quickly in the bathroom, in those in betweens are so key. I love that you shared that. Now that you kind of maybe have looked back, you shared some key things. What would you say to yourself, maybe, that now that you know, that could have maybe prevented entering into that state of depression? Looking back, is there anything that you would tell your younger self and say, hey, maybe try this instead, or to have prevented that?
Yeah, I would probably say ask for more help, right?
Mm-hmm.
As and you have children, so as moms, sometimes you kind of want to take care of it yourself, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
seem like you're unfit, right? So it's in our nature to just be like, oh, I got it, right? Oh, I don't need help, and we need the help, right? Even if it's just having someone come over for company,
Mm-hmm.
that is also a form of help, right? And it's also a form of self care because you need that interaction. And secondly, I'll probably say do a little bit less, right? I'm known
Yeah.
to be busy, always doing something. And, and that's why those are the women that I talk to the most, right? The ones who feel like, oh, I'm busy, I got to do this, I got to do that. You don't.
Yes.
Or you don't right now, right? Do it later. Take a few minutes, right? It's not a luxury item, it's a requirement. You have to take care of yourself.
Yes, 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 yes. Do less, honey. Yeah, sometimes I'm telling you, sometimes that advice is the gold where it's like, you know, like you said, I can do it. I have done it, but I don't necessarily need to do it all right now or even need to take this on sometimes. And it's so funny once we start to get into the zone of really identifying that and being able to say, is this really, it's amazing. We can do less. And it's really impactful when we do. Awesome. Awesome. So what are you're a certified breath coach.
Yes.
Okay. So does that mean that you guide folks through breathwork experiences? And what are some of your favorites and why?
Mm. So I do a combination of things. Now I do want to give people practical tools. So when I teach, I incorporate the breath work and I use that sort of just as a way to ground us and also to give the people a way to relax and to regulate themselves. Because like we just said, sometimes you just need a minute to get yourself back to your center.
Mhm.
What I actually do is I use the chakras as a framework. So I teach from the chakra systems without using the word chakra, right? So
Okay.
starting with the root cause, right? When you're in survival mode, like I mentioned, fight or flight, that's where the breath work comes in. So I use that to help you get the relaxation and to help you get sleep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sleep is so key. Okay, so for someone who doesn't know, right? Explain chakras.
Sure. So the chakras are energy systems that are just in your body, right? And I usually teach from the main seven, right? And I go in too deep into the weeds, right? And what we do is we go over the different levels of your life. And you'll notice this when you start paying attention to yourself, that you can't focus on one thing until you've handled the first. So if you're always on the go, always busy, you can't really make time for yourself to start thinking about long-term investments or how I can be more creative, because you're stuck in survival mode. When
Mm-hmm.
you start realizing, okay, now I can focus on my creativity, well, now I have to actually do it, right? I have to actually put energy into it, right? That's where the solar plexus comes in. And it just goes on from there and builds upon each other. It's pretty much using this chakras as a framework for self-development.
Yes, yes, yes. I love how you explain that. So, generally speaking, for the super, super layman, the chakras are, there are many, but there are seven main, and they are located in various points in the meridian or central of your body. And they're like energy centers. And if they are stagnant or if they are stressed, then we experience various things: stress, delay, sometimes feelings of sickness, us unworthiness, all kinds of things. It depends where it is. And so, um, Kharron is talking about how she uses her work, also uses those energy centers, and she leads you with breath, I'm assuming, and which I'll have you explain as well. Because, okay, what happens? People are like, ladies, I breathe. Okay. It's natural. I know I'm breathing. What do you mean breath work? I thought it was, mindless. Just happening. And it's like, no, we can use our breath to do so many things, to cleanse, to give us power, to relax, etc. So please go ahead and go into that as well.
Yes. So what we do is we start with stimulation, right? Because if we're going to be learning something, we want to be awake, alert, knowing what's going on. And the way I teach breath work is I break it down into three different categories. There's the practices that will stimulate your nervous system, stuff to use before exercise, when you're first waking up. There's the practices that just balance you out, help you relax and be calm, but still alert. And then there's the evening practices, which would, like, be for deep relaxation, maybe sleep. And I call that coffee, water, and whiskey. So that's how I
Oh.
break those down. Yes. So you get the idea, right? You coffee, you use for stimulation, and so on. So like I said, I work you through the stimulation. We start going over the root chakra because now you're more alert. We can now figure out how to bring you back into your relaxed focus mode, where we can focus our energy on our higher needs. We then move on to deeper levels in the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra. And the way we use breath work there is we would use balancing practices, so that as we're learning new information, we would stop, take a moment to do breath work and meditation, and help absorb that information.
Mm-hmm,
And that
mm-hmm.
we take it forward through there.
Yes, yes. And I love these things because so with my practice, with my method, I use components of these as well. And I do because they're natural. And I do because they work. And I do because they're holistic. And what I mean, how natural differs from holistic, is that it's natural, meaning it is of nature. It is part of your nature even. But holistic meaning it takes care of multiple things at once. It's bringing a level of regeneration or calm, the things that are needed on multiple levels, multiple
Mhm.
levels. Exactly like Ron had said, where it's like, oh, I'm doing this wonderful thing to relax and discover I'm actually scientifically regulating my nervous system. It's so awesome. So, so awesome. I love that you have this. Now, tell us what some of your favorite things, like what's in you don't have to reveal all the secrets, but what's in favorite, your favorite list? What's one that you really like to use personally
From the chakras or from the breath work? What you
from
mean?
your breath work?
Oh, from the breath work. Oh, well, my favorite is the breath pause, where you hold your breath for about 30 seconds. You would breathe naturally,
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. And on that third, you would pause, you would hold for 30 seconds. And what that does is it slows everything down. So as you exhale, right? First of all, you're taking less breaths.
Hmm.
And as you exhale, your diaphragm is coming up and it's snuggling against your heart. So it basically slows your heart rate down, which helps put you in a state of deep relaxation. Um, Another one I like to use would be the left nostril hold. So
Hmm.
this is where I would breathe in for a count of 4 through both nostrils. I would pinch and close, and then I would exhale only on the left side for 8 seconds. And what that does is it helps, because your left side is correlated to your parasympathetic nervous system. It helps to soothe you. And when you're breathing, it's also stimulating your vagus nerve. So
Hmm.
all of these things, it's like layer upon layer of added relaxation, right? You're slowing down your heart rate, you're taking less breaths, you're stimulating your vagus nerves, and you're stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system.
I love that so much because these are all tools that can help someone that is experiencing a funk, maybe a little bit of sluggishness, maybe a little bit of overactive thinking or some worries, stress. So definitely maybe before that silent depression comes on or as it's coming on and things are just seeming a little out of order, these tools can help at any time. I love that. I love that so, so, so much. So, what would you say is your best habit to stay happy?
My best habit, I really like writing,
Mhm.
and I really like exercising. Just being more aware of myself now. When I just recently had another a baby, so I have a 1 year old right now, a little toddler running around the house. The difference between now and then, though, is that I'm aware of myself and seeing how I guess I was prone to feeling a funk. I made it my business to say, is when I was like 6 months pregnant, I'm going to run a race. I'm going to run a 5K race. And I just
Yes.
decided to do that. Yeah, I did not run. I haven't run in years. But in December, I ran my first 5K and
Ah,
loved it. It was so amazing. It was just great. It was just being outside, the activity. It was beautiful, and it's something I can't wait to do again.
oh, that's fantastic. That is
Mm.
fantastic. Yeah, it's great. It's so funny because being physical, isn't it just so rewarding? It is so rewarding on so many levels. Like seriously, I used to be like, I want to be the type of person that works out just as my lifestyle. Like I just want to be that person. And over the years, as I've really kind of stepped into that, it's so funny because it's it's like I miss it in a weird way. If I'm not like, if too much time kind of goes on and I haven't been physical, like I miss it. It does something for so much. It does something for my mind. It does something for my body.
Mhm.
It does something for my sense of confidence and accomplishment. It's like, yeah, I got it in today. So, so
Mhm.
good. So yes, those are good tips. Those are really, really good tips to stay happy. They also help us to relieve stress and like that kind of like hamster wheel of thinking sometimes where it's like,
Yes.
okay, what's going on? But then you get it in or you're running or you're taking a walk. I've been doing right now actually a weightlifting program and I also do walks. I do weighted vest walks and
Oh.
I'm just loving, I can't even describe it enough. Like, I just really love it. And I used to be super like, I liked cardio. I love to dance, girl. Just like you, I love to dance. So we can meet in the middle somewhere in the country and just like go out and get our dance on. But like, yeah, I never thought I'd be into weights. They used to feel like boring to me, but I really, really like them now. I like being physical. It does a lot for my health and my mental well being. So it's great that you have that same feeling. And you know what? I know you have a little toddler, but hey, toddlers pick up also on stuff. So would you ever consider doing these activities with your children?
Yes, all the time. So the 1 year old, I've actually started saying to him, breathe, and then I'll go. So I'll do it out my mouth because he's a baby, but he tries. But if he's trying to fuss, it'll get him to at least stop. Right? It's distracting for him.
Yeah.
And for my oldest son, he just turned 10 last week. we actually meditate together in the evening, most nights. So I teach him a little bit of breathing, not too much, right? Because he's a little kid, but he loves that. And I do think he tries to use it to get out of bed sometimes, but he really does enjoy that. And I love doing that with him. It's that, yeah, we love doing that together.
Ah, that is fantastic. What a beautiful habit that you are instilling in your child. So beautiful and powerful. Meditation can cause us to transcend a lot of things. And with a lot of stuff going on out there, you're empowering your child in a major way. Kudos to you for that. So tell us, where can we find you? Where can we find your book? How can we connect with you further?
Sure. You can connect with me from my website, mindbodyrejuvenation.io. And I'm also on LinkedIn, and it's just my name, LinkedIn/Kharron Alderman. And I'm also on Facebook. But yeah, those are where you connect with me.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Your Best Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and even give us a review. And hey, don't forget, there are plenty of resources in the show notes for you. See you in the next episode.